Hello. How is everybody doing? How's things? How's life? How's the universe? How has your week been? Should be going live. How has everybody's week been? What's everybody been up to? Um, hello. How is everyone? How is the apparently currently 6 people watching? How you doing? Hello Joe. How are you? I'm alright. I think I might have finished my work for the week actually. So I am probably going to be doing programming tomorrow. um, yeah. Hello, Simon S63X. See, it's not quite 8 o'clock yet, so I'm not turned on yet. Not in that way. Hello, Simon S63 Tech. How are you doing? 56 people. That's a good start. Well, the most I've seen so far is 12, so not quite. Hello, Yeno the user. How you doing? Very crazy period for me. Sorry I didn't check in for a few streams. Cheers, everyone. How are you? No worries. It's always good to have you pop in when you can, but it's no worries. And yeah, I'm mostly alright. I have some good sort of, I don't know, personal news in the sense that I've me and 4 other friends have just booked in for the Palmer Sport Day. If you haven't seen anything, if you haven't seen that before, it is very expensive for a single day, but it is how many cars? A BMW M4 GTP, Caterham LM car, Formula 3000 car, a Ginetta G56 GTA, a Defender, a Caterham purely for drifting, and a go-kart. I think they've replaced the Clio with the go-kart, haven't they? So yeah, down at the Bedford Autodrome. Basically, it's the closest that you can get to driving a Formula One car without being either incredibly rich or incredibly talented at driving. So yeah. Hello Simon, how you doing, man? How's things? Hello Zig as well. How you doing? It is quite the exotic collection indeed. But I'm very much looking forward to it. Very much looking forward to it. Are you gonna document it for At the Wheel? So you're not allowed to use GoPros inside the cars, or outside the cars. Like you can't film yourself driving, basically. And realistically, this is a thing that I want to do. While I still mostly function. So I think it's more going to be, I'm going to try and enjoy it as much as I can in the moment rather than trying to document stuff and film things. So probably not is the short answer. I might, I'm sure that we'll be taking plenty of pictures and videos and things while we're there, just on phones, whatever. So I might, recount it after the fact. But yeah, my aim is to enjoy it all while I'm there. So yeah, but that's not until September, so I've got a while yet. Passion project, pretty much. Yeah, I mean, where else can, like, I've driven a lot of cars. um, I've done basically every supercar day in Britain. Um, so I've driven almost every supercar that they normally have. Driven a McLaren 570S. I've driven a Ferrari 458, a Lamborghini Gallardo LP 540, Nissan GTR, an Aston Martin DBS, a Porsche 911 Turbo. God, what else? BMW i8. That was one. What else did I drive? Two Ferrari 360s. etc. etc. So I have quite the experience in various cars. I did the BMW M4 day at Donington, which was great fun. I've obviously tracked my S4. Whoops. Although I just upgraded the brakes actually, finally. And it's pretty good. Yeah, I swapped my single piston sliding calipers for four piston Brembos. Admittedly, I do have to use a very slightly smaller disc with the Brembos, but much better feel, much better control, better heat because it's aluminium. It's way lighter. Like I think it's 6 kilograms total lighter. Which, because that's unsprung mass, and actually that's not including the slightly smaller disc as well, so it might be more like 7 kilos different. So yeah, really good. But yeah, on the driving front, I have a lot of experience in driving fast cars, but driving, a Formula car, admittedly Formula 3000, is the closest that we'll get to driving, an F1 car. I've got to really up the game on this front to get anywhere near anything better than that. Hello, Wap. How you doing, man? How's things? Thomas Alexander, hello. Have you ever been to Computex or similar, and do you plan in the future? I have been to Computex. Ironically, MSI Laptops took me out there in 2018, I think it was. Give or take. Yeah, it was good fun. It's the sort of thing that is like, I'm not exactly a big enough channel for, most people to care about Computex news from me rather than the slew of other, English speaking channels that already go. And then it's not really a networking event for me. It's not like the people who I can, who I'd be talking to at the stands are the people who will be directly arranging samples or sponsorships or things. So it's a lot less of a there isn't a business case for me to go unless I'm being directly sponsored. And one of the weird things is that, especially with the UK marketing departments, they tend to be a little bit more localized, in the sense that, like, the UK marketing teams only care about UK events and UK like publicity, so they basically wouldn't get any money from HQ to send me to HQ, basically. So yeah, it does look like a fun place to catch up with all of the various creators, but yeah, that's hello John, how you doing, man? How's things? Hello Commander Classified, how you doing? And what was it? Joe said, or hear me out, cancel it, get a refund, and buy an Apple Vision Pro. I can buy 3 tickets to the Palmer Sport Day for the price of an Apple Vision Pro, and I sure shit know which one I'd want. No. Vision Pro, I want one, but no pricing in Australia yet. But why? Why do you want, like, what is the use case? Because, like, with the Valve Index, right, that is very clearly a gaming headset. It's tied to your system, whatever. And the controllers especially are one of the most unique things about it. And so there's a clear use case between that £1,000 or so. Actually, is it even £1,000 these days? I can't spell Valve. Valve Index. It's $1,000. What's in the UK? £919. There you go. Headset, and it is. There's a clear use case of you play games. Whereas with the Vision Pro, the only thing that I can think of being useful for is for content consumption and purely for either, I guess, maybe the sort of immersive cinema type thing, or more realistically VR content. And we all know what the only type of VR content that is actually being produced is of. So yeah, I'm not sure, especially at that price tag. Holy. I watched MKBHD, Marquez Brownlee's video. He mentioned that it was heavy, which makes a lot of sense because it's a full like M2 based laptop on your face, and it doesn't like have the battery bank at the back like there is a VR headset that does that. And then the other thing is that like the whole gestures by like that control it with gestures. You know, you're clicking or whatever. And that is something that has been tried so much. Like, what was it? Google's phones have like, you know, LiDAR sensor or whatever at the front, so that you can like swipe above them to do, you know, change tracks or whatever, and that doesn't work. So why, like, how Apple expects that to be a accurate experience? Yeah, I don't know. So I can watch TechteamGB on a 150-inch screen, of course. Trust me, you don't want to see this face that close. App, honestly, not great, but what it is, what it is, an entity I may or may not be involved with. Did a Twitter, so rip. Okay, right, that took me way too long to understand. Condolences. I know Reddit's doing a Twitter. But yeah, the people that I know have tried the Vision Pro were impressed, but very much said there currently isn't a lot to do with it. Yes, that's kind of my thought. Like, I mean, even with like gaming VR headsets like the Index or whatever, the content that you use with that is took a great number of years to get to a point where, apologies for the noise, to get to a point where it's actually you know, a healthy library size and well supported. And so even with it being Apple, and therefore there's going to be an emphasis on development for it, you know, someone's going to look at that and go, that's a gold rush moment, and, you know, go for it. But yeah, I don't think that it's going to be widespread. I think the other thing is that like it's only going to be used at home, because if you use it out and about, it's going to get stolen off your face because you're wearing a $3.5 thing and you've basically got blinders on. And so it's only for you know, indoor at home use, whatever. But then even like on a plane or something, because it doesn't have headphones, it has the speakers that just fire into your ears. It's not private. You know, people around you are going to hear what you're, you know, watching or whatever. So I can't imagine that even being useful on a plane. Also, doesn't it only have like 2 hours of battery life? Which makes it sound like you're not even going to make it through a single film. Yeah. I can't see that many use cases for it to justify the price tag from a logical perspective. Just got a 1917 Mach 1 Mustang here in my shop, 428 Super Cobra jet. She sat for years, so we'll be getting it running today. Just made new battery cables for it. Now it turns over. Good start. Nice. That's cool. Is that one of those like 427 Super Cobra jets that makes like 100 and something horsepower. Because that was always the funny thing with the like the pony cars for me, and it, like I can't remember what which generation, like the early 2000s Mustang, late 90s, early 2000s model Mustang, not the Fox body, the one that was nearing that, which was like a 5.6 liter or something V8 that made 193 horsepower. Yeah. Although saying that, especially the 1970 type chassis is not going to handle much more power anyway, so fair. Never said I was going to buy it, it's just that I want one. Nice. So it's $3.5 grand for a device that doesn't have headphones. It's forward heavy, only has a 2-hour battery life, and using vastly limited motion detection systems. Yeah, pretty much. But it has an Apple logo, so people will buy it. They say it should be used with AirPods. No. Use 2-hour battery with the wire tether, yes, or all day if plugged into the wall. Do you know what? My phone has an infinite battery. Or slightly under a day if I unplug it. No, this is before pollution control. Factory spec says 427. The legal limit at the time was 1 less horsepower than cubic inches. Ah, interesting. I mean, that's cool. That's cool. Wab says they say it's better than any VR headset they've tried. No screen door effect with the micro OLED. I mean, that is one thing that I would like to see in like index style headsets is OLEDs, because it does make a very big difference. I mean, you know, I built the response time tool for a reason, and that's it doesn't matter on an OLED. It matters on any LCD panel. Anything in Computex that grabs your eye except for the interface RGB. What was it? I honestly can't remember. So apparently no. I think Noctua had the new D15. New 140mm fan, and they were talking about the Ryzen offset mount brackets and that sort of thing, especially if you delid them, so that's pretty cool. But the whole reverse mount motherboard stuff, like I get it from an aesthetic reason, but from a practicality reason, I'm not entirely sure it's actually worth it, especially because none of the motherboard manufacturers actually agree on placement for stuff. And then the Asus's PCIe, like Asus's graphics card power connector that goes on your motherboard seems like a cool idea, but because it's not implemented in any standard fashion, again, the great thing about PC building is that it's kind of all interoperable. It's all cross compatible. You know, any M.2 drive with the right key will work in an M.2 slot on any motherboard with the right key. Any, you know, DDR5 RAM DIMM goes into any DDR5 RAM DIMM slot, and any PCIe card will go into a PCIe slot as long as it's the right size and connection. When you start to add things like, oh, but this top slot has this extra connection that our special graphics cards have don't have power connectors for, which means that you need to buy our special motherboard and our special graphics card just to work together. Then you start getting into, well, this isn't cross-compatible anymore, because if you then want to take that graphics card and put it in a motherboard that doesn't have that, connector, if I remember rightly, it didn't have a PCIe power connector on the other side, so you're now screwed, right? So again, if it is a standard, if it's something that all of the manufacturers can and do offer, then cool. I like that innovation. If it's something that each manufacturer has to implement themselves in their own way, like the reverse mount I/O, then that's a bit dicey and probably not supported. And if it is something that only one manufacturer offers, especially if it's something like that PC, like graphics card power thing, I'm not interested. I haven't watched Steve's video on with the Noctua engineer yet. I've been working all day, so haven't had the chance. Although I did like his video with Der Bauer, what's his name? No, I've forgotten his name. But yeah, that Roman, thank you. About thermal conductivity and why it's a bit of a misleading metric. I suppose in the same way that things like response times and MPRT are deliberately misleading metrics, that you can basically pick whatever number you fancy it to be, and technically it's not false marketing. Like, it is, but you know, from a could you sue them perspective, technically it's not. Yeah. Hello, John. I may have dreamt it, but I vaguely remember seeing something lately about going back to GPUs powered by the board, thus eliminating PCIe power cables. So that's what I was talking about with the ASUS. ASUS had I think like a demo graphics card that had the normal PCIe slot, and then a little bit further down it had a second finger, which was a double connector, that went into a second slot further back on the board, and that slot was the one that provided all the graphics card's power. But that's what I was talking about, is that once it, you know, if you were, let's say that ASUS does launch that board and that graphics card, those two things can only work together. And if you need to, you know, move that graphics card or whatever, that's a problem. And you still need to plug in the PCIe power cables to the motherboard. It's just that then the motherboard then routes that to the graphics card through the connector, so you don't have the wire running along the front. But I mean, especially with custom cables, I think that sort of accent makes it look fantastic, in the same way that adding custom loop water cooling makes it look great. So I'm not that fussed. Didn't the cheese grater have the ability to draw the GPU's power from an additional PCIe slot? Yes, I think it did. Although the cheese grater is the cheese grater, and so they can make it as proprietary as they want. That means a huge bump in the already expensive motherboard prices. That too. Hello, Budget Bench. How you doing? How's things? Also, hello, Chris Beard. How you doing? Did I miss something? Oh, Wax says about the Apple Vision Pro. Not gonna lie, it's the $1,600 8 gig 15-inch MacBook Air that I thought was worse value than the ski goggles. Yeah. Yeah. Although I was kind of interested in seeing the new M2 Ultra MacBook, MacBook, Mac Pro, the new cheese grater, with PCIe connectivity finally. Starting at £7,000. Actually, a friend has just got an M2 MacBook Pro, an M2 Pro MacBook Pro, such a stupid name, that I will hopefully be taking a look at soon, TM. And also, Hyundai has agreed to give me an Ioniq 5 after a bit of a back and forth, and so I will I'll have that both from At the Wheel, and I'm going to be doing a tech video on essentially what the real life, like actual self-driving features actually look like today, because obviously there's a lot of talk of autopilot and full self-driving and stuff, but it's not. So see how that looks on a real car. Ba, 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 ba. Where am I at? I think Gigabyte made a board about 2 years ago, and Seasonic made the power supply and case for it. Yes, well, I think Gigabyte made the case for it because Gigabyte also makes cases. But yes, they did, and it didn't go very well. Again, it's one of those things that, because, like, even though the connectors are technically standardized, like the connectors are standardized and the locations are roughly standardized, the actual details of that aren't. The 24-pin can be in a fairly wide range of places on a motherboard. The front panel USB 3.1 and 3.2 headers can be in wildly different places, on the bottom edge, on top next to the 24-pin. The SATA ports can be down vertically facing off of the board, or they can be horizontally. They can be in a block of 4 and a block of 6. I have some motherboards where they have all 6 in a flat row along the side. None of that is standardized, and so when you then try and go, well, actually, let's flip all those connectors around so that everything is accessible from the back, you then basically have to have all the holes in the motherboard tray. And also, if you buy an ATX case and then you buy an M-ATX motherboard, what are you going to do? Because all your connectors, in that case would be facing backwards, but there wouldn't be a hole there because you bought an ATX case. It would need a complete rethink and standardization, and that's something that I can't imagine happening. That's a very good point. What happened to the 12-volt only power supplies that would then remove the 3-volt, 5-volt, and minus 12-volt rails? I thought Intel was making a standard so that all power would come from the board. Yeah, that's a great example of why this whole backwards connector thing ain't gonna happen. Because we can't even make 12-volt only power supplies. The shift to 12-volt only, in theory, is depending on the use case, more efficient. It does simplify things, but I think I don't know for sure that is where we're heading. Obviously, the fact that we've seen basically no movement from that, we've seen very few power supply manufacturers making 12-volt only power supplies, and it's a bit of a chicken and egg because the motherboard manufacturers aren't making 12-volt only in their systems. So if the motherboards don't exist for it, then why would you make a power supply for it? But if the power supplies don't exist, why would you make a motherboard for it? Simon has a great point, which hasn't popped up on screen yet, which is that Dell and HP have 12-volt only power supplies in their pre-builds. See, that makes a lot more sense, because Dell, HP, Lenovo, all those sorts of big OEMs, they manufacture, like, they design custom motherboards so that they can cut the cost down. And that makes more sense, because they're designing the power supplies, or at very least they're buying specific ones. They're designing the motherboards, and then they're speccing everything else out. And so from that perspective, that sort of more total integration that they have makes way more sense. But from the custom PC built market, it's a lot more difficult to do that switchover, because again, like I said, it's a bit of a chicken and egg situation. There we go, there's someone's comment. And Wab says, I don't like the backwards connectors. I think it's fundamentally stupid form over function. I would also agree. Because having the connectors in the way we have them, normal facey out way, it's not that much more difficult, and it's also like from building a PC perspective, it's kind of easier because it's all there. It's all, you know, you don't have to go to the back of the case where everything is obstructed. You can see the silk screen on the board. You can, you know, route things easily, whatever. So yeah. I'm like, who cares? There's a couple of wires. Get some custom connectors or cable extensions or custom cables if you care that much. Dell, the poor man's Apple. OEM builds are the perfect candidate for it. Anything else is a minefield with people that don't know the correct requirements. Yeah. I was taken aback by how cheap SSDs are now. 30 to 40 pounds for a 1TB NVMe SSD. Surprisingly, yes. I think that might be SATA rather than NVMe. Maybe it is really, really cheap and terrible, you know, Gen 3, whatever. Maybe even buy 2. But yeah, it's like NAND prices have come down a lot. Although, to make it clear, that does not mean that the 1TB USB sticks or like 8TB USB sticks that you might find for like 20 or so quid on Amazon or eBay or Wish or wherever else are real. They are still fake. And especially with removable media, like this is a 4TB Crucial external SSD. It's the X8. And this is still like 200 or something pounds, if not more. So the idea that you can get a 4TB, you know, thing like this for £20 or even 50 is just ridiculous. Don't fall for it. Oh, it is NVMe M.2, not SATA. Crucial. Interesting. Samsung 870 EVO 2TB is like £80. Damn. Daniel, do you think Intel will leave the GPU market soon? Well, it's kind of hard to say. Obviously, they really don't sell enough to probably justify it. But at the same time, they have dedicated a lot of you know, man hours and time into developing things like drivers. And while that will still likely help their iGPU market, I feel like they are very early in their development cycle to the point where they can't. I don't think that they can judge how successful their you know, entry into the GPU market has been so far. I do kind of hope that they stick around because having more competition is more better for us consumers. And so I would like to think so, yeah. My PC has 2 visible cables. They are black and white. They look nice. Nice. Why NVIDIA broke drivers, my RTX 3090, when I have installed drivers 120 watts at idle? No idea, Bo. You're gonna probably need to fresh install your drivers to make sure. You can also try rolling back a driver version to see if that fixes your problem. When you say 120 watts idle, is that from a tool like Hardware Info, or is that like total system power? Noctua, the company providing that perfect is the enemy of good by being the exception to the rule. I'm a bit of a Noctua fanboy. I mean, I assume you're also punning there, so nice. Have you seen the new O11? It gives me anxiety. The glass sides are now only connected by a small corner bracket. Whilst it looks clean, seems a tad weak. I mean, I don't really like tempered glass cases, to be honest. Like, they're fine, but I much prefer them when they're this nice style, which is the Fantex N2 Evolve X in white, which is like a prop. Well, the side panel is tempered glass. It's nicely mounted on a hinge and stuff. There. So yeah. Oh, I missed the comment, didn't I? Sam said, here's an idea, don't get a glass side panel. Can't see in, can't see the cables. Problem solved. Do you know what? The mid to late 2000s would agree with you. Not gonna lie, at this point I don't really care about looking in my PC. To be honest, me neither. I do have a tempered glass panel, and it is, you know, mounted on my desk, so I technically can see it. But the only time I actually look in there is for stuff that's fallen into into the case, or when it doesn't boot and I need to look at the little debug display. That's the only two times that I look inside the my system. So yeah. Hopefully it doesn't turn into major sunk cost fallacy thing. Well, I think sunk cost fallacy might help us, the consumers, in them not leaving, because if they're, you know, if they go with the whole sunk cost fallacy, it means that they've already sunk their costs into this, and so they must keep going, right? And Wab says, I feel like now is Intel's chance. Nvidia are currently somewhat taking the market for granted at the moment. I would agree with you, yeah. I think AMD has definitely come back with some very strong competition. The fact that the 17900 XTX is even close to a 4090 is incredibly impressive, considering, you know, like, just the R&D budget between them alone. So, yeah. And Wab says, shareholder short-term thinking, if it's not going to work for Intel within 18 to 24 months, they'll kill the GPU division. Like, yeah, they do kind of have a habit of that, don't they? Maximum glass, minimum airflow, who needs to cool a PC anyway? With prices of cases and fans with superfluous RGB rubbish, I'm seriously considering my scrapwood makeshift test bench for my new main PC case. What that is. Yeah. Although, to be more sincere, there are a lot of good, more budget cases. Fantex is the one that I normally recommend. The P400A or the new P350 or 360 or 370A, whatever the new P3 something A is fairly budget and still, you know, good airflow, good mounting, you know, good build experience, that sort of stuff. So yeah, if you're looking for one that isn't heinously expensive, maybe try that. Nate Sheridan's Facebook page, high-end components used, looks good, all RGB, 1,000 spent. Somebody comments, oh, you made your computer pride colors, that's awesome. RGB. Pat loves a bit of GPUs though. I think he'd leave before they completely kill the Arc division. I mean, maybe. Some hope. To be honest, when I first built my PC, it was on my desk. Needed more desk space, so it's now under my desk. Never look at it. It's cable managed in RGB. Nice. Yeah, I mean, my PC is very much a utility item rather than a showmanship item, as is everything in my life. So, yeah. My PCs look like freaking 80s discos, even when off, with all the RGB shining from the motherboard and AIO pump. Nice. Might just buy the Apple Vision Pro. Can have a virtual PC with no cables on 100% glass PC case. Oh dear. Um. Uh. Nah, buying new cases is not smart. If you want anything fancier than the basics, just buy used from someone that made a mistake of buying an overpriced box new. Fair? Fair. What's the dinky little laptop you got on the desk behind you? Anything exciting? No, it's my wife's laptop. It's a Asus ZenBook Duo, I think. Yeah, I've had it for quite a while. I do have a Acer Nitro 5 on the floor next to me, as my for a sponsor video with Acer, and like Game Pass. Probably not next week. Probably the week after. I did ban this person, but it's really annoying that that's this scam is still on screen. I'm also kind of confused how you meant to interact with that comment. Like, are you meant to message that person? Or are you meant to, like, there was no link there. There was no, I don't know how you're meant to to engage in that scam. By the way, I kind of missed white t-shirt Andy. It's upstairs, I think. I think this I prefer the black t-shirt because it doesn't show my horrible sweat stain so badly. But yeah. Once you go black. Oh, dear. Let's change topic. The reason why this PC is actually set up for once is that I've been running a what you call it ChatGPT type text generation large language model AI thing on it, which it turns out is ridiculously simple. It's a 2080 Ti in there, but really anything over like with, well, turns out 11 gigabytes of VRAM or more is better, can run the model that I'm using. The model is called Vicuna, and it's made by a open research collective from UC Berkeley called LIMSYS. And it's pretty good. It's not as good as ChatGPT, even the like basic free version, but it's kind of close. One of the funny things though is that, and I'm sure Essentialist would like this if he was here. The whole like text generation web UI is very much clearly designed for the person who wants an e-girlfriend. Because you can like upload a picture and give a like character, you know, a bio and a response and a whatever, yeah, it's but you can just use it like you would use ChatGPT, which is fine. No training, because I don't have the the GPU, VRAM or horsepower to run that. I'm hoping to get my hands on an AMD workstation card. I have spoken to AMD about it, and so fingers crossed on that one. But just running inference at the moment, yeah. Have you looked at Open Assistant, OASST, SFT1 Pythia 12B. I haven't. I've only used the Vicuna model so far, the 13B model, the 13 billion parameter. But I do want to try some other ones to see how they handle it. I know GPT-J and Stanford's Alpaca models are also available. Technically, Meta's Llama model, but Vicuna is just Llama, but optimized and pruned. So, yeah. First of all, hello, Chris. I didn't actually say hello. And second of all, I don't like it. And yes, that's right. The problem is that there are clearly enough people who want and or feel they need that for that to be a thing that exists. Yeah, the text generation web UI does have all of the settings for training, and I do want to. I want to try, for example, giving it a load of my like scripts that I've written for these videos, and see if I then give it some notes, it would then generate a script that sounds like me. That would be kind of interesting, in the same way that I did with Stable Diffusion and Dream Booth, where I trained a model to picture my face, and then that would be a and then made it make my face into very things. Would you be interested in reviewing the monitor I mentioned last week? It's suspiciously cheap for the specs. I remember looking it up. If I could get one in, sure, I'd be happy to. I'm not sure if they would send me one. Someone came in and wanted to enroll on a course we're no longer running, got aggressive, and then when removed by security said, "I know how to hack things," and you got DDoSed at work today. Oh, that's so cringy. Oh dear. Yeah. Oof. Joe, have you retired the scratch built design you were working on way back, the one you drew up? What do you what are you referencing there? I'm not sure. Sorry, an entire flotilla of under-averaged people were just riding by. You might be able to still hear them. Andy streaming from a runway. If you call the road outside my house a runway, then yes. They might, since as you said, LC are not really a monitor company, so they might be interested in sending it to only Linuses. Fair, yeah. We'll see. I just ordered a UPerfect C2 120Hz 2K IPS portable monitor. Am I going to regret it? Portable monitors are basically laptop panels, so possibly. Recommendations for monitor arms. I know that Wendell has a recommendation for you. I can't remember, Lutron or something. I have a set of I think the brand, it was an Amazon brand. I think they're called Duronic, like Duro. Can't spell. ONIC. They aren't gasless, but they are springs. They do move around, and you can get them in sort of different sizes and different like packages and whatever. But yeah, Wendell was always wait for a bank to go bust and buy 40 of the really good ones. Yes, pretty much. That's the reason why I don't have the really good ones that Wendell suggests, because they are insanely expensive. Brand new. I don't know if Wendell has a specific video on it, maybe, but yeah. Gironic, yes. That's the brand of the ones that I have. I bought them on Amazon. They were relatively cheap and they work fine. I did have to tighten the screws quite a bit to get the tension right, but once I got them tensioned right, they move around just fine. How can my phone detect liquid/debris in my USB ports? Well, either through direct connectivity or through any like sense pins and stuff that they have, either in the housing or anything like that. Yeah. And sadly, none of the banks are going bust in the UK. I mean, kind of. If we all run out of money, they might. Did I miss anything? It's quite a big one. Can't quite explain it. Remember you talking about it for a while. When you say quite a big one and whatever, can you tell me a bit more about what you're referencing? Like, what was it that I drew? What was it you say? The scratch built design you're working on. What was it that I'm missing the context to understand what it is we're talking about here. Because from my memory, when you sent that message, I was talking about ChatGPT at home. I got a Hitachi nail gun this week. Not sure that's relevant tech, but it's awesome. I'm nailing down everything in reach at the moment. Bring on my very own carpentry corner. Nice. I would kind of like a nail gun, so nice. It's not really relevant tech, no, but hey, when have we ever stuck to relevant tech on this show? It's like a cage style sort of thing. You know what, just ignore me, all this exercise clearly is destroying my brain. Okay, yeah, I'm not sure what hand-drawn, scratch-built cage I was drawing a while ago. Yeah, that doesn't ring any bells, I'm afraid. Is it gas-powered? Well, I know, like, there are plenty of electric ones, and then there are plenty of electric and gas ones. So, if it's Hitachi, I would imagine it's electric, but yeah. Just looked, I have a couple of North Bayou monitor arms. No idea what they're worth. Got them for free from a company, but work really well. Nice. Any special videos coming out that we should look forward to? Good question. So I am doing one on the AI. Also, I finally got some acoustic panels in from the same company that makes these. Well, not Noble Chairs, but the same parent company. But yeah, that's so I've got that coming. The Ionic 5 that I'll have in next week, and so a video will be out the week after. Should be pretty cool to see. It's the second car I've actually had in for review. And I'll be doing the normal car review on At the Wheel, and then I'll be doing the like self-driving tech video on TechteamGB. I might also do one on the whole power grid power, use your car as a battery bank type feature that Hyundai has as well, but I might also save that for the Ioniq 6 in like August or whenever. If they give me one again. Have you ever experimented with undervolting modern CPUs? My 13900K kind of heats up the room. I skipped the 7800X 3D due to the chips frying. I have an AIO cooler now, but heat is heating the room. So yes, I have. I think I might have even done a video on undervolting. It's not overly difficult, and because performance is an efficiency curve, you don't have to go that far down in performance to go a considerable amount down in power. So yes, it can be quite effective. If you're just gaming though, your CPU generally isn't the one that's doing the heating. If you're doing CPU heavy work, you're doing video editing or 3D modeling and rendering or something, then sure, that does make a big difference. But from a gaming perspective, it's normally a graphics card that's doing the majority of the heat output from your system. Because, like, for example, a 13600K is what, 180 or 200 watts or something like that at full load, but it's not at full load while gaming. It's drawing 50 to 100 watts or something, maybe 150 at absolute most. Whereas your graphics card, if you've got a 4070 or something, that's what, 250 or something watts. So a considerable amount more. Actually, maybe even more than that. Hello, Luca. How you doing? Joe, I kind of did that. I did, when I had the Renault Zoe in, I did a video on EV charging, both how to charge and sort of current state, and also then like on TechteamGB I did a video on like the EV charging tech and terminology and that sort of stuff. But yeah. I own an event/production hire company. I'd love to power a show with something like a Tesla. Doubt Tesla will sponsor it though. Tesla also, I don't think, will let you do the power. I think Hyundai call it load to grid. But Hyundai does, although there is a limit to the power output. I think it's something like 13 amps. Where's the... I have the spec sheet for the car that's coming. It's the, what they call it, Ioniq 5 Ultimate. But where's the vehicle to load? Ioniq, I can't remember what the spec is. Yes, I want to know the specs. It can do 3.6 kilowatts, which at 240 volts would be pretty much 13 amps. Slightly over, actually. I'd be more like 14. But yeah. So you can have, a single plug socket worth, basically, or, maxing out a single plug socket. But it's a really cool feature. And realistically, like, the majority of, like, my house draws, even with all my PCs, about 600 watts or so at when everything's on, which is 2 or 3 amps or something. Maybe 3 or 4. Anyway, so yeah. Yeah, you wouldn't be able to power, an entire show with 13 amps. That's for sure. And also, like, with the battery capacity, that's 77 kilowatt hours from total. But that still wouldn't be I don't know what the mass is on 3.6 kilowatts. Actually, it might be more like 12 hours or something. I can't do maths in my head. Could you run an extension from it? Would it peak and cause it to shut down? So yes, you could plug in an extension cord. The adapter is just a CCS connector or whatever the Type 2 connector is. That's it. To a UK plug, basically. And then the inverter in the car will be monitoring the power output, and if the inverter sees too much load, it will just shut that feature off. Or trip a fuse, but I hope that they will have designed it so that the fuse is in the adapter, so you just replace the fuse in the adapter. But I don't know for sure. Both show would be in the range of 20 kilowatts for like 5-6 hours something. So you're talking over 100 kilowatt hours of energy. I assume. Ford Lightning will run a house up to 20 kilowatts if you buy the option. I mean, that's cool. Although the battery in that, I mean, for a standard house, you know, the ability to back up to your house, whatever, is definitely cool. But it's I don't know that it's going to be, you know, years of your off-site backup, you know, like running your entire house off of your car. Technology Connections did a video on running stuff from his i5. Yes, that's how I know about it. I recently learned that extension cords that are on a spool, you're supposed to unfurl them fully before using them at max load for cooling. Well, it's not necessarily for cooling. I mean, it kind of is, but also because it's a big coil of wire that's close together. It creates, it induces current and therefore heat in surrounding wires, and so that it gets even hotter than if you just lay it out. So yes, you are meant to. The car's rubbish. Just feel how cold my noodles are. Luca's getting a Litco tune on his car. Nice. Enjoy. And Joe says, taking your car back to your dealer because you shorted it trying to microwave your noodles. My granddad's Sasong Young has 200 watt normal plug socket in it. Nice. I have seen that before in some cars. I've seen a melted roll before, wasn't us. Can it be used to create an electromagnet? Probably. Although it's with an electromagnet, isn't a DC current to get stronger? I don't know. Who cares? He could run his stuff for up to 5 days, I think. Yes, although he is also quite. I think his point was that he could run his core essentials for up to 5 days, rather than your 20 kilowatts worth of power from your house type thing. But yeah. Who cares? Me! I'll go take a physics lesson. I'm not fucking smart. Saw a new Sasong the other day at the garage, and it was like a freaking tank, absolutely huge. Would it fit? Would fit in with American pickups. Well, so funnily enough, it actually wouldn't. A lot of American pickups are even bigger than you think. The hood of a new F-150 would come up to like here on me, and I'm 6 foot. So yeah. Oh, a Sangyong, that's it. Yeah. But yes, I have also seen the new SsangYong, that's the word, pickups, and they're massive. I drove a Ford Ranger Wildtrak at the SMT day. Took it off road. It was great, and it's just a hateful place to be. Just awful. This sounds like a 1-star Euro NCAP rating. Probably not wrong. Yeah. Why does it need to be that big? Because my truck. Is a reflection in your personality. America's the land of excess. Why stop at cars? Coil extensions melt for sure. Don't even have to fully melt with the sleeve deforming. It's alarming. Yes, I mean the sleeve only has to deform enough to let 2 wires touch to be a bigger problem. Yeah. Bigger truck, bigger money, bigger margins. Kinda sagged. Yes, I agree. Very sag. Yeah. Anyway, that's our usual hour, and my throat is on fire, so I'm gonna leave it there. Thank you very much for tuning in. As always, if there's anybody who hasn't been here before, these are every Thursday night at 8 PM UK time, so feel free to pop back next week if you fancy. Yeah, otherwise, I hope you have a good day, good week. Stay safe. I'll catch you all tomorrow for video, Monday for video, next week for stream.